All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about emergency bags, get-home bags for your vehicle, and proper application for them, at least for me, and my experience on using them. I have a new bag here, still has the tags on it, and I think I'm going to go with this. There's another bag I'm going to test out, trying to decide which bag I'm going to go with and moving some stuff around. But this is mostly about the contents of it. We will talk a little bit why I changed bags and went to this from my previous bag before we jump into it. So if you're ready for a good long breakdown gear review video on contents, we will jump into it. So stay tuned. So first and foremost, a lot of this is going to have to be tailored for your general location where you're at. And for a lot of the stuff you're going to be keeping in your vehicle for a get-home bag, it's probably not going to be your flagship gear and equipment for numerous reasons. One reason for that is it's going to be in your vehicle. It's going to sit there. It's going to get exposed year-round from hot to cold temperature, so it needs to be pretty stable gear. Another thing, too, is you're not going to want to leave all your gear in there, your most expensive stuff, because it could get stolen and broken into nowadays. Yeah, there is some stuff you can do to hide your gear. But for the most part, it's going to be stuff that don't put stuff in it that is super expensive and you're going to cry if you lose it. The other thing too is it doesn't need to draw too much attention, and which is why I went to this. Before, I had a OD Green Everly stock Fact Track was my get home bag for years and years and years. I sold the bag because I just didn't like the organization in that bag for a get home bag in my vehicle, and it was a pretty expensive bag. I mean, it was like almost $400, right? So I didn't want something to get stolen. This is a 511 Rush 72 2.0. It's a lot cheaper bag. It has really good organization. These do not carry the best out of all the bags out there, so keep that in mind, but you're going to sacrifice for it. I got this for sale, I want to say for like $100 from 511 back on Black Friday sales and stuff like that. So, you know, overall, it's going to be a much cheaper bag. So what would I rather lose if someone broke in my car and stole it? Do I want to lose a $400 bag, or am I okay with losing like a $120 bag? You know, obviously, I'm going to cry less about this. With that being said, I still want something that can carry and travel. Now, a lot of people will say for a get-home bag, they don't want stuff with MOLLE on it. I completely get that and understand it. But for the areas that I'm normally in, MOLLE doesn't stand out that much. You know, this is in the double tap, so it's black and a really dark gray. Doesn't stand out a whole lot, but I like MOLLE because I use it, and I use MOLLE quite a bit to attach stuff in my everyday life and for backpacking and stuff like that. I do like MOLLE. For this application, I'm not too worried about it, especially because it's dark, and if something happened really crazy and I was stuck and I had to make my way home, more than likely I'm going to travel at night just because I have the tactical advantage in that in a emergency disaster situation where I got to worry about bad guys, right? And getting home to my family. At night, I have the advantage. We'll get into that a little bit later. So that's kind of the choice on why I chose this for a vehicle bag. And I have enough stuff in here for my family. I do keep a big Plano Outdoorsman gear tub in the back of my vehicle with extra stuff like warm blankets and a lot more other stuff. We won't get into that, but I do have an extra supply tub. A lot of times where I'm going for traveling for work and stuff like that, I may be 200-300 miles away from a town, really, essentially, whether it be up in the mountains, whether it be in the desert, you know, whatnot. So I want to have a decent amount of supplies with me, but I do want to be able to carry some stuff. I'll give you examples. I have been stuck in traffic for 2 days before due to storms and stuff like that. So, you know, it's good to have this. It's going to supplement your EDC bag. Okay, so some quick things that I always keep either in the vehicle, not necessarily in the bag, but quick access items I think you guys should really like. All right, so a few things that I don't really keep in the bag, but it kind of fits into this is a can of bear spray. I like to keep a can of bear spray in the driver's side door where I can get to it very easily. And I also keep on this a glass breaker to break glass in case of water submersion or fire or whatever. And the bear spray is a great application. Where I spend a huge amount of my time, there are bears everywhere. There are grizzly bears, there's black bears, mountain lions. And you know, the riots of 2020, you know, a can of bear spray is a pretty good deterrent from somebody trying to pull you and extricate you out of your vehicle unwillingly. So having bear spray is just a really good thing to have. And plus, you can put it on your pack. And another reason I like the MOLLE is if I want to put this on my pack, if I need to walk, I can just clip this on here, bada boom, bada bang, I have my bear spray. So in that same door, I always keep a pair of work gloves. These are Carhartts, as you can see. They have been heavily used. Working in construction with my dad, he had a rule: never get out of your vehicle without your gloves on. And you know, that is a very pinnacle rule. Always have gloves with you for whatever. If you need to walk home, emergency, car's on fire, if you need to do, you know, any number of things, having a good pair of leather work gloves, changing a tire in wet, sloppy, snowy conditions, keeps your hands clean, keeps them a little bit warm. You know, put some, bring some wool glove liners, and you slide those in there, and you got some really good formidable gloves. So all in all, pretty good. Now, another thing I've added to my get home bag and my emergency kits in my vehicles this year is these fire masks. Now, different number of companies make them. This one, I want to say, is the Wilkin. I made a video on it, but basically, they're just emergency rescue hood fire masks that you can get for you and your family. They have about 30-45 minutes of filtration, keeps the smoke and stuff out of your eyes. You can breathe. You know, in an emergency situation, you can put this on, grab your pack, get your family, you know, hopefully get out on foot. A lot of people in some of these new wildfires, they're getting trapped in traffic, and the fires are burning up vehicles, and people are having to get out and run and leave their vehicles. It's happening in California. It happened in the Paradise Valley fire, and you know, a lot of other situations. Back when I used to be a firefighter, we actually were coming in as a fire had cornered off a kind of not a subdivision, but a mountain community on the side of a hill, and nobody could drive out because of the fire, and those folks would have been trapped in traffic and not been able to get out if we hadn't been there with a heavy tanker truck with a deck gun on it and just blasted the fire off the roadway and the tree line so they could, you know, evacuate out. So it's something to think about. Okay, so another thing you might want to keep in your vehicle, maybe not in your bag, is just some spare ammo for whatever your CCW is. Keep some spare ammo in your vehicle, and keep a map and a compass either in your vehicle, in your bag. I usually have them laying around in addition to GPS, so we'll just get kind of that stuff out of the way. Now, like I said, a lot of this stuff is budget, cheap stuff. I kind of set these up to where, you know, you could use them like a bug out bag if you wanted to. I don't know that this would definitely not be my first choice, but all this stuff in here is relatively cheap, and if somebody stole this out of my vehicle, I wouldn't cry too much. years ago, there was a YouTube channel. My dad found it. I can't remember the name of them, but they were full-time RVers, and they were driving through. And you guys hear me trash on Portland all the time because I spent a lot of time there. They were driving through Portland. They had 511 Rush 72 bags for their bug out bags. In their campers. They were full-time RVers, and I think they went out to dinner or something, and the great citizens of Portland broke into their vehicle, stole their bags, you know. So with that being said, this is probably the most expensive bag I would leave in a vehicle and worry about it getting stolen. So on the outside of this, pretty much on these bags, what I'm keeping is just a clean canteen, a way to boil water and stuff like that, with an extra bungee strap to kind of hold it in there tight. So I have it wrapped around in there. Inside, you can store different stuff. In this, nothing crazy, just pretty simple. I have a K-Bar multi-spoon and then a little pot holder. If you guys don't know what this is, if you want to dangle something, this is it's not a pot holder. This is actually for fish. But what you can do is you can take this, stick that in there. You can dangle this over fire, boil your water, dish and set this in here. So just a handy little tool to have, not super expensive. So far, I haven't decided if I'm gonna put anything on this, but in this pocket right here, I just keep quick access stuff. I keep just a really old Gerber knife. This was the, if you can see, this is beaten all to heck. I wanna say this was, which one is this? This is the one that I think the military contracted out to have them made. It's the predecessor to the Gerber Strong Arm. I can't remember. I think it's like the LMF or something like that. I've had this for years and years. When I was first getting into survival knives and emergency stuff, I think I bought this on eBay or something when I was probably 18 maybe, years ago. I mean, years ago. Decent little knife, holds a blade. Like I said, they're not super expensive. I mean, maybe if somebody stole this pack, I'm out $50. You know, I'm not leaving my most expensive knife in there, but it's definitely a good tool, definitely a good self-defense weapon. Just a really good overall cheap knife, just to leave in your vehicle. Forget about it. So a few other quick things I have in there. Quick access, this is a rechargeable Olight that I had. laying around for years. Some glow sticks, multi-tool. This is a really old one. Like I said, this is all surplus stuff that I had. I think this is this is the Leatherman rebar. Really good Leatherman, not light, but right in the rain pad, and I got a pin in there also, and just some really cheap Walmart binoculars. And they're just really good to have in case if something happened, if you get stranded and there's civil unrest, you're trying to weave around through town or up on the side of a mountain to go around town or whatever, and you want to see what's going on, make sure you're staying away from danger or something like that. Just having a little extra magnification can actually save your life. Like I said, I'm not leaving my $300 Vortex in there. This is just something super cheap that if I lost it, I'm not going to cry about. All right, so good thing I keep everything in here nice and compartmentalized. All right, so we'll just kind of dive into some of the stuff that I have in here. It looks like a lot. So this is just a gear bag. It's not something I'm going to be hiking with all the time. 99.9% of the time, this is going to be sitting in my vehicle, and I'm not going to be hard pressed to leave my vehicle, but I can still carry this stuff. It's not going to be super comfortable, but it does the job. And if you're a guy like me, I go backpacking all the time and carry 60, 70 pound packs for like week plus backpacking trips. So weight's relative. You may not want to have this much weight. So I get in here, I just keep a little cheap water filter, like I said. So this is just a little mini Sawyer I have, some water purification tablets, and I just keep that in there for quick, easy access. And then in here, a little bit of extra stuff in here. I have a mosquito net now. Where I spend some of the time in Tennessee, where I'm from, I have this just because of bugs. You can also use this to pre-filter your water filter. You can have you can use this as a fish net for little minnows and stuff like that. Just some paracord, and then I keep a little SOL emergency bivy sleeping bag in there. So it's just a little Terra Hiker canopy poncho that has some grommets in it that you can turn into a shelter if need be, but it's a nice poncho. Now, what I was talking about leaving in a vehicle, I went back and forth on trying to have some food. Food's not super critical, but you want to have some food if you're stranded in your vehicle. Snowstorm, being up in the Rockies, I could get stranded with my family for a day or two until they can clear the roads if some kind of freak snowstorm happens. So I want something that I can leave in my vehicle. I don't really have to worry about too much, where it can go from like a high temperature to a low temperature. And basically what I've kind of arrived at is these Lifeboat food ration bars. They taste like complete garbage, but I mean, hey, they're very shelf stable for the weather, temperatures, and stuff like that. So, they do the job, right? And then just a little medical kit. I'm not going to dive into this too much. It's just a trauma blowout kit that I have. I built this myself, and it has pretty much all kinds of stuff for anything between bites, respiratory emergencies, gunshot wounds, yada, 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 all kinds of stuff like that. And then just a little extra toiletry kit for me and my family in case, like I said, we get stranded somewhere, we can kind of freshen up and stay clean and just feel rejuvenated by, being able to maintain good hygiene. And then just a pack with just an El Cheapo black diamond headlamp for me and my wife, and then just some spare batteries. Nothing too exciting about that. Then in here is my fire kit that I keep in here, just a little bit of odd and end stuff. So in there I have some lifeboat matches, a little pocket stove with the little tabs. Like I said, super cheap, not gonna cry if I lose it. Spare lighter with a little extra ferrocerium rod in there. And then also I keep just a little mini can opener for food. In case you had to scramble around and find some food, at least you have, a way to open the cans without having to jabber with a knife and making a mess. All right, next up we have just some extra stuff in here. Sharpie pen, mosquito bite or mosquito spray, wet wipes, way to sharpen my knife, and then some Advil. And so I keep this in here. This is usually in my EDC, I'll have like a ham radio or something like that. But this is just a super cheap little, it's called a Tenergy radio, just a super cheap radio, FM, AM, emergency broadcast radio, weather band, all that. I just keep that in there just to have information, crank and all that, just to get some backup, to have good information. And like I said, I'm planning for this to stay in my vehicle in case I get stranded somewhere. So this is something that, this is pretty awesome. I've actually used this out in the field before. This is called a Chili Gorilla. It's a really big, I want to say this one is like the 12 by 20, I want to say. Big sun outing canopy. The reason I have that in there, I spent a lot of time traveling in the desert, driving across the desert all over. And, even if you're in inclement weather or whatever, if you need to make a shelter off your vehicle, one of my primary vehicles is a Toyota 4Runner. So, I can attach this to the roof rack and have a big shelter if it's too hot to stay in there, if it's broken down. And it's big enough, I can make some different lean-tos and stuff out of it in the winter if I had to, try to bug out and try to walk home. The other thing also is I do like that it's big enough if I'm stranded in an area like on the road and there's a lot of people and they, for whatever reason, if their vehicles are stranded and they can't run their air conditioning or whatever, it gives me shade I guess basically it gives me shade for a lot of people and shelter in case I need to help some people out. And then last but not least, this is called the Kelty. It's called the Kelty Rambler. It is a 50-degree bag, and the reason I have this in there between this and the SOL Bivy bag, you can put this inside the Bivy bag, and so you have a pretty formidable sleeping bag when you add these two together. It's not super heavy, and it's just a good blanket if you need to wrap your family up in it on the side of the road or something, And then again, I think I got these on Amazon. I got 2 of them. One stays in the tub in the vehicle, so there's actually 2 of these 50-degree bags with that, and I keep a wool blanket in there too. So I have enough blankets and stuff in my vehicles at all times. In a blizzard, if we're stuck, stay pretty comfortably warm. And then again, it's super cheap and you don't have to worry about it, All right, so that's pretty much just my get home bag, nothing super crazy, just, it kind of mirrors a bug out bag. My actual bug out bag stuff has a lot more expensive stuff, high quality stuff in it. All right, guys, I hope you liked the video. If you found something interesting or enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe. If you are returning here, I really appreciate it if you hit the notification bell so you get alerted whenever I post a video. And you can watch that. As always, be safe out there. Enjoy the great outdoors. Leave it better than the way you found it. And we will see you on the next video. Stay safe.